as you guys all know, the Texans GM situation is, in a way, a bit of a mess. Well, at least from an outside perspective. Like, if you look at the, national media or, fans from other teams, they always trash the Texans when it comes to the front office. Oh, there's no GM. Oh, call the Texans. They'll probably trade a first round pick for this punt returner. And, stuff like that. And my opinions on this whole Texans front office right now, honestly, I like it. It's pretty much what every Texans fan has been asking for a while, an aggressive front office that makes trades. And Bill O'Brien made the trade. He got Lermy Tunsil. And let me just talk about the Lermy Tunsil trade again, because there seems to be some people that just still do not understand how good this trade was. Okay, take Lermy Tunsil. Top 3, top 5 left tackle in the NFL. Undebatable. If you don't think he's top 5, then I suggest you go see a doctor and get your brain checked, because there's obviously something wrong with you. Now, don't get me wrong, he has to clean up the false starts and all that stuff, but he'll get that cleaned up. He's a future all-pro player. He's going to get it cleaned up. Now, it was a good trade. And, some people say, well, you spent all these picks on a guy you didn't sign. The Texans are going to sign Lermy Tunsil. Don't worry about that. The reason the Texans let Jadeveon Clowney go was because of Lermy Tunsil. The Lermy Tunsil trade was already in the works before they traded Clowney. In fact, there was even rumors that, it was confirmed that the Texans were trying to trade Jadeveon Clowney to Miami, but that fell through. And guess what the Texans were trying to get from Miami? Lermy Tunsil. So, the Lermy Tunsil trade was already in the works when they traded Clowney. Obviously you can't play everyone, so the Texans didn't choose J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless over Jadeveon Clowney. They chose Lermy Tunsil over Jadeveon Clowney. They chose Deshaun Watson over Jadeveon Clowney. So the Tunsil trade. Back to the Tunsil trade. People are still pissed that we gave up those picks. They're like, oh, you could have used those picks in the draft. Okay, look at it this way. The Texans are currently, I think they're at 26. They're currently projected to pick 26 in the draft. At 26, you are not going to get an offensive tackle, a left tackle, as good as Lermy Tunsil. You're just not going to get it. Guess what? If you want a good left tackle, the Texans would have to trade up. They'd have to trade up to the top 10, top 15 to get a good left tackle. And you know what the cost would be? A first-round pick. Not just a first-round pick that year. A first-round pick the next year. So the Texans traded 2 first-round picks for Lermy Tunsil. I'm not counting the second-round pick. I'm using that for stills. So the Texans traded 2 first-round picks for Lermy Tunsil. And if the Texans wanted a good left tackle in the draft, they would have had to trade 2 first-round picks to go up and get him. Not only that, you got to consider that the left tackle the Texans could have took in the draft, there was just a chance he could have been good. A chance. He could have ended up being a complete bust like Eric Fisher from the Chiefs. But instead, the Texans opted to go with the proven guy, the guy who is good, a top 5 left tackle in Lermy Tunsil. And people are still mad at that. I just don't get it. Anyway, though, back to GMs. The Texans front office, well, Bill O'Brien, because we all know who's calling the shots. Bill O'Brien's calling the shots. But Bill O'Brien, I have loved the trades that he's made. I have loved, the pickups that he made. Vernon Hargreaves, for example. I think he's doing a good job as a GM. Now, the reason I'm even making this video is because Bill O'Brien, I think it was like January 13th, like a couple weeks ago, after the Chiefs lost, they, had a press conference. They asked him about the whole GM situation. And Bill O'Brien said something around the lines that it's staying this way as of now, or as of right now. Key words, as of right now. But some Texans fans took it and ran with it and said, "Oh my God, we're not getting a GM. We're not getting a GM. Bill O'Brien's staying. He's gonna do everything. He's gonna do everything." Just read. It literally says, "as of right now." Right now. The key word is right now. And the reason why he said right now is because the Texans aren't getting a GM right now as of this moment. Like, they're not getting a GM today. But guess what? They'll get one after the draft. And who are they going to get? Nick Caserio. They're getting Nick Caserio, guys. Like, it's clear as day. The Texans are going to get Nick Caserio. Like, I could bet my third nut that the Texans are getting Nick Caserio. Like, I can guarantee it pretty much. Like, it's going to happen, guys. It's going to happen. The Texans are going to go through free agency, through the draft, how it is right now. How Bill O'Brien said, as of right now, or for right now, whatever. And then after the draft, the Texans are going to get Nick Caserio, because after the draft is when Nick Caserio's contract runs out. And if you go back to last year, or, this past summer, when the Texans fired Brian Gaine and they aggressively pursued Nick Caserio. Now, Nick Caserio could have easily said, "Hell nah, I don't want that job." But he didn't. Nick Caserio didn't say anything. He didn't sign an extension with the Patriots. The Patriots tried to extend them, but Caserio said, nope. And that's a clear indication that Caserio is interested in the Texans' job. In fact, there was even multiple reports that Caserio was interested in the Texans' job as a GM. So, I think this whole Nick Caserio to Houston is a done deal. And like I said, man, like, the only reason I'm making this video is because a lot of people seem to think that Bill O'Brien is gonna go into the season being the same Bill O'Brien as last season, being the offensive coordinator, the head coach, the GM. No. He's going to get his GM. And it's going to be Caserio. And I'm also hoping that he gives Tim Kelly play calling duties so that Bill O'Brien doesn't have to do everything. Now, how do I feel about Nick Caserio? Because I'm pretty sure you guys are going to ask me. Now, I have pros and cons to getting Nick Caserio. Now, the pros, like I just said, Bill O'Brien doesn't have to focus on GM duties. Now, to me, the biggest issue with the Texans, like the team, isn't, a lot of people say play calling, but play calling's a lazy take. I feel like it's more game management and game planning. I think that is the issue. And how do you fix that? Well, yeah, you can obviously get a better coach, but with a guy like O'Brien, the dude had his plate too full. And I've been saying this whole offseason. He had the play calling duties, he was a head coach, and he was a GM. So how do you fix that? If you're not going to fire Bill O'Brien, well, you take some of that off his plate. You take away the GM duties, give them to Nick Caserio. So now Bill O'Brien can focus more on game planning and game management during the games. Now, another pro, there's another brain in there. Bill O'Brien trusts Nick Caserio, and Nick Caserio obviously wants to work with Bill O'Brien. And not only this, I've read a bunch on Twitter that apparently Nick Caserio is not only involved with the front office, but he's also involved with the coaching staff. Like, he helps them out. He wears a headset. He is a part of the game planning. So, it's another brain to help out Bill O'Brien. And, I see a lot of people complain about Bill O'Brien's clock management and all that. Hey, maybe Nick Caserio can help him out there. I don't know. Now, another thing, another pro. Nick Caserio would possibly bring in a bunch of New England guys. Now, the reason why I list that as a pro is because, F the Patriots. This past season, we finally beat the Patriots, and now let's go over there and steal their damn scouts and stuff. These Patriots are pretty good at finding these no-name players and making them contribute to the team, so maybe Nick Caserio can bring in some of his boys from New England, and maybe the Texans can start doing that too. Because the Patriots have, this whole next man up mentality. Every single year, the Patriots lose some players, and, they never miss a step. Well, except this year because Brady's old as hell, but other than that, before this year, if anyone would get hurt, it wouldn't matter. They'll be able to get some random drunk guy from the stands, and he'd go over there and perform, just as good, if not better than the guy he went in to replace. That's just who the Patriots are. They're good at scouting players from other teams, especially. That's why, they pick up all these random players. They pick up these broken players and somehow make it work. Now, another pro, like I said, the Patriots don't want to lose Nick Caserio. They filed tampering charges on Texans because they didn't want to lose Nick Caserio, because they felt that they were about to lose Nick Caserio. So, if the Patriots, they don't care about anyone really, unless you're Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. They don't really care about anyone. They take these players, these coaches, and, they use them, and then they just let them walk, and they get a comp pick, or they let them walk, and that coach ends up doing terrible somewhere else, and then a few years later, they just get them back for cheap. That's just who the Patriots are. Very rarely do the Patriots try to keep someone very aggressively. Very rarely. Or, very rarely do they go after someone very aggressively. The last time I can remember them going after someone aggressively was Stephon Gilmore. They overpaid for Stephon Gilmore when they paid for him, but guess what? Look at Stephon Gilmore now. Dude's arguably the best corner in the NFL. The Patriots know what they're doing. They know that Nick Caserio is actually someone important to the organization. And, you want a counterexample to that? Nate Soldier, left tackle the Giants, signed to a $16 million a year deal. The dude sucks. Guess what? The Patriots, they didn't even try to re-sign him because they knew he sucked. But with Nick Caserio, they did all they could to keep him. So, he's obviously good. So now for the cons, because obviously there has to be cons. Here's the cons. He's another New England guy. I feel like majority of us are kind of tired of this whole Patriots South thing. We kind of want to go in our own direction and do our own thing. Well, getting Nick Caserio would just bring in more of the Patriots South. If we bring in Nick Caserio, we'd legit be Patriots Jr. Straight up. Because Nick Caserio would bring in his boys, and then we'd legit be the Patriots. So, I know a lot of you guys don't like being the Patriots South, but if Nick Caserio comes here, we're going to be even more Patriots-like. Another con. And I know you guys are going to hate this one a lot. And honestly, I'm kind of iffy about this too. If we bring in Nick Caserio, it could mean Bill O'Brien's going to be here longer regardless of what success he has. Because if we bring in Nick Caserio, he's obviously going to be tied to Bill O'Brien, or I think he's going to be tied to Bill O'Brien. So, if Bill O'Brien and the Texans suck this upcoming year, personally, I don't think they will. But if they do, then, you're obviously not going to fire Nick Caserio after 1 year of being the GM. And if you're not going to fire Nick Caserio, there's a good chance you're not going to fire his boy, Bill O'Brien. So that means Bill O'Brien stays. But, let's just say the Texans have a bad season next year. And the Texans, Cal McNair does fire Bill O'Brien. He's like, all right, Bill O'Brien, you're out of here. Goodbye. Nick Caserio, you can stay. So if that happens, if that's the scenario, then guess what? What is Nick Caserio going to do? He's going to go get yet another New England guy. So Bill O'Brien gets fired. Nick Caserio's still the GM. He's going to go get Josh McDaniels probably. And guess what? It's going to be the same thing all over again. So not much is going to change. So there's definitely some cons, but there's also some good things. And I'm kind of split in between. Like, I don't know what I want the Texans to do. I don't know what the right move is because, like I said, if we do get Nick Caserio, then there's a chance that Bill O'Brien can be here longer regardless of the outcome of next season. But if we don't get Nick Caserio, then the Texans are going to get stuck in the same situation as this year and just be a one-and-done playoff team. Because I don't think Bill O'Brien can handle all the duties again. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the Texans GM situation. I really don't know what the Texans should do. I'm kind of split between this. Comment down below what you think the Texans should do about this whole GM situation. Should they get Nick Caserio? Should they stick out the season without a GM again? Or what do you think they should do? And be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.